Cool. So next up, we have Julia Worthington, who is a consultant and coach at Amber Consulting for Fundraisers. And Julia has given us a little bit of a hint into what her talk might be about. So Julia says that her inspiration for her Iwatop talk was influenced by her time at Railway for Children, but specifically attending a railway conference. Over to Julia.
An award-winning partnership between the Samaritans and Network Rail. It's hard to remember now, but 10 years ago, when Lady Gaga was #1, not many people discussed mental health, and even fewer discussed suicide. It certainly was not most corporates' idea of a suitable charity partner. So the challenge for Samaritans was how to find corporates that would work with them. And the answer, research. Somebody 10 years ago, probably 11 years ago, at Samaritans, decided to look at industries where suicide was a real issue for the organisation. So which sectors had suicide as a major pain point? It sounds brutal, I know, but we always need to step into the business owner's shoes and see what they need to get out of this partnership. Every year on the railways, an average of 250 people take their own lives by suicide. And that costs Network Rail £1 million. Those figures are 2012 figures. But that is made up of fines that they have to pay to the train operating companies, and also the cost of the staff who have been there when the suicide happened. Train drivers often never come back to work after they have been part of a suicide incident, and so it is a big cost for Network Rail. Railways take safety very seriously, and they monitor the number of suicides each year. They present them at a safety conference and they talk about how they can change that. But they really were at a loss as to how to reduce the number of suicides on the railways. In 2010, a 3-year partnership was launched between Network Rail and the Samaritans. And they had 3 significant things that they wanted to achieve. From Network Rail's point of view, they wanted to reduce suicide by 20% over the 3 years of the partnership. They wanted some staff training to help support staff who had to deal with trauma on the tracks. And they also wanted some suicide prevention courses for staff at the stations. The partnership was worth £1 million to Samaritans, and the split was between training and some donations from Network Rail. In 2012, this partnership won Best Corporate Partnerships at the Charity Awards, and they'd helped Network Rail to achieve a 13% reduction in suicide in the first year of working together. Now in its 10th year, this partnership has seen 20,000 of Network Rail staff trained in the suicide prevention training. 1,300 staff have had trauma support training. Local branches now support stations where suicide has happened, and they'll go in and support the staff on those stations. And there's marketing and awareness on stations with posters and signs giving the Samaritans phone number 116 123. Now that you know about that, you'll probably see them everywhere. Have suicides reduced? On a linear graph, no. But in 2016, staff intervened on average 4 times a day after the suicide prevention courses. That's 80,000 daily interventions. Sarah's story, a video that I'm about to show you, shows how this works in practice.
Attention passengers on platform 11. I'm sorry to announce that there's been a serious incident on the line. We know that there was one individual involved. She was 28-year-old Sarah Wilson. Sarah left a note before leaving her house because she had decided to take her own life. But I'm very pleased to tell you, she didn't go through with it because someone took the time to stop and talk to her. That was all it took to interrupt Sarah's suicidal thoughts. I know this because I am Sarah. I'm sharing my story today to spread an important message, that a little small talk can be all it takes to help start someone on a journey to recovery. So if you think someone might need help, trust your instincts. Stop and have a chat. Even a question about the weather can be enough. Or tell a member of staff. You could help save a life.
So what can we learn from this partnership? Number one, do your research. Really look at the sectors that you could work with. And they may not always be the most popular ones or the most obvious ones, but by doing some research, you can find out what those are. Look for synergy between your charity and the organisation. And whatever that synergy might be, whether it's the cause or the values or the support that you can give to staff, really you do need that synergy. And address a pain point. And again, this sounds quite brutal, but if you can help a business to solve a problem that they're really struggling to solve without your support, then that will be a long-term partnership. This partnership has raised this partnership has now been in place for 10 years, and it was income was £1 million a year in the first 3-year partnership. So you're looking at, this is a £10 million partnership. It's a long-term strategic partnership, and I believe those are symbiotic relationships. There's trust, knowledge sharing, and ultimately making a difference to the business and the charity.
Can I say just off the bat, every IWITOT I've done, which I've attended as a guest or as just as part of the Sophie team in the background, I have cried, and I was really hoping it wouldn't happen this time round as I'm hosting, and unfortunately, mission unsuccessful. That was fantastic. Thank you very much, Julia. Sorry, Kim.
No, I'm just it was powerful. Thanks for sharing that, Julia. I think we've had a lot of people on the comments also sharing just how powerful that video was, and I think certainly it made me think about when we are at the train station, which we haven't been at for a long time, but kind of when you hear those voices that say, oh, someone else is on the tracks, or there's been a disturbance so we can't move, often we get like really frustrated as well. As I go to, right, that there's someone like disturbing my commute to work, and actually not thinking about like what possibly could be happening in that person's, like what in reality has just happened to that person, or what they've just done or experienced. Samaritans was actually one of the first fundraising campaigns I ever fundraised for on the telephone. Really? When I was a telephone fundraiser back in the day. And it was also the first charity I decided to start supporting. So it has a very special place in my heart. And I think, Julia did an absolutely fab job just then kind of talking about those synergies as well, where the partnership seems to be not only amazing and kind of beneficial for Network Rail, but obviously it's raising those much needed funds, and there really is that connection. And it kind of just makes sense that they would be two organizations who work together. Like, it just makes sense. I don't believe we have Julia here today, but I certainly feel like we've gone on a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah,
Of emotions.
absolutely.
It's weird going through it alone as well, like at home, just watching it to screen, right, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's you know, it's, as we all know, it's a very difficult time at the moment for a lot of people with isolation and so forth. So it feels like a timely intervention in that respect, and just in terms of reminding us of, you know, in this particularly difficult time, that's why organizations like the Samaritans exist, and we're lucky to have them.